Lady of the faucets, let's get it.
Woo! Yeah. It's R2R, it's R2R. Back to riches, back to riches. It's R2R, it's R2R. Back to riches, back to riches. It's R2R, it's R2R. Back to riches, back to riches. It's R2R, it's R2R. Back to riches, back to riches. Got my call from the R2R. Farmers going up, Brody, check the chart. In the loots, buying all these plots. Thomas G and Mike got the chat on lock. With a drip and pause. Got these dogs and pigeons, farm me, I'm ready to score. Got me a bag of the rich and hard, I think I need more. Group got me in the wave, now I'm swimming the shore. I'm up to the core. It's R2R, it's R2R. Back to riches, back to riches. It's R2R, it's R2R. Back to riches, back to riches. It's R2R, it's R2R. Back to riches, back to riches. It's R2R, it's R2R. Back to riches, back to riches.
Yo. The camera went out right at the top of the stream. Welcome to R2R Wreck to Riches live stream number 71, people. Happy Thursday out there. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you in the crypto space. Welcome. Do not forget, we're dual streaming. So if you're out there on YouTube, it's important that you post notifications, subscribe, pound a like button, drop a comment, and get the YouTube algorithm going. But if you're over on X, where we know the algorithm is popping, you got to get all your hashtags, PulseChain, PulseX, pDAI, eHex, everything, and repost and like the tweet and get let's get the show on the road. All right. For whatever reason, camera. Hey, I know what I'm going to buy myself for Christmas, a new camera. This thing just keeps shutting off, but the show must continue. All right. We're going to talk about PulseChain price predictions. Before we get into that today, let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart. All right. $95,000 Bitcoin. What happened? What happened? You were going to 100K. Why are you doing this? It's really not a big deal. I mean, we're seeing Bitcoin dominance drop, and then altcoins were doing good yesterday. So we're getting teased with a lot of price action going up and down right now. I guess you could say we're kind of trading sideways in the 90,000 range. I saw some people like, hey, this thing's about to drop to 80,000. We didn't see it happen, right? We didn't see it happen. But in the RH ecosystem, right? The hype for me and for everybody else, we're watching Ethereum. We want Ethereum to break out above $3,700. That is where the big excitement's going to come through. And why? I point this out all the time. I point this out all the time. For the simple fact, whether you speculate, listen, you can speculate that RH is going to take these Ethereum investments. It was about $3,700, almost $3,800. It's only minus 5.78% in the red. He's going to take it at a 2x and bring it over. He may not do that. He may not. There's no expectations, right? Speculation versus expectations. But either way, if people are speculating this, once the SAC funds are in the green, that speculation is going to be like, hey, SAC Daddy's going to come pump our bags. And that's a true fact that we saw when he did bridge over, change the bridge fee to 0%. All this money came in. We saw a pump in the ecosystem out of nowhere. And ultimately, it was a simulation of what was to come down the road when Ethereum does put him into profit. I don't know. But at this point, we got so many big narratives and so many things surrounding that the community is just getting magnetically pulled towards. It's like these pDAI narratives, right? And the overall prices right now is the greenery and the scenery in PulseChain. We're seeing gradually moving closer and closer to SAC funds. And when those sacrifice prices, and then a combination of sacrifice prices, some FOMO, right? we reach that sack price, we feel the FOMO, we see the FOMO happen, then we see the sacrifice address in the profit. That's going to bring a whole new ball game as far as price appreciation. That's what I think. But for now, I'm looking at this and I'm enjoying the price action, right? I'm getting up and I'm just getting my boogie on. Come on, dog. Come on. You can't tell me that that's not you in the morning when you're watching pDAI going from below a penny to 2 cents, PUSD, all the free copies, Wrap Bitcoin, PulseX, UFO, PTGC, everything, Hex, EHEX, everything's, popping off. And we had a chance to buy at these incredible lows. So, of course, we had to boot Jerome for Carlton, because that's the dance right there when you get in your coffee in the morning. It is just pure excitement, just moving that body because you can't resist. But although the excitement with the price is there, and shout out to Viber Finance, happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. If you missed the intro, there's greenery in the scenery, but. I'm going to be 100% honest with you today. I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas coming up and all that. For me, I just, for my kids and family, I want them to have a good time. I want them to have a good time today. I want them to eat good. I'm still in the zone, bro. I can't lie. I have to be honest with you. I have nothing but just a deep thought. I know their family's going to be around. They're going to want to be talking about this and that. Maybe there'll be some football going on, but I have no interest in that. I have zero interest, even with the price up, right? And when I grew up, my biggest idol was Kobe Bryant, and right now I have the Mamba mentality. I'm striking dips. I'm striking opportunity. I just have this serious mentality about me, off camera. And when it comes to crypto, like, I'm on it. I'm working harder than I've ever worked before to get the bag. And like I said, Kobe was a huge inspiration. I hope you guys enjoy your day. But like I said, I want everybody else around me to be happy. But for me, I'm on that Kobe Bryant tip.
Well, what's the story? Are you not happy, or you're only half happy, or?
Still to be happy about.
You're up 2-0.
Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so.
Hey man, that's seriously, that's where I'm at, right? And we're gonna talk about some price predictions, but it's not gonna be like one of those things where you're like, oh, I want you to take what I say and be like, oh, this is my new thought. Like, draw up your own conclusions and your own thoughts and your ideas. I'm not a financial advisor, for damn sure not a professional. This is cryptocurrency. Don't ever allow an influencer or any social media platform to influence you when it comes to crypto. So a big part of me always wants to be, like, honestly conservative with prices. But what do I know versus a Richard Hart? Nothing. But what have I experienced? And you got to imagine what price he got in at Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like, my entries was not Richard Hart's $30 entry. Literally got in $250. So that's almost 10x larger than when he got in. He was probably in, Ethereum below $1. I got in at $7. And his experience with the gains is far beyond mine by a long shot. And my gains are far beyond most people's wildest dreams by a long shot too, that are getting into crypto now. And I have to, when I make these conservative thoughts, I have to go and draw strength from who's seen it all. Literally, like, he talks about this right here. And we'll talk about what price point this would put PulseChain at. But just hear what he has to say, because my opinion means diddly squat, right? My opinion means absolutely nothing, guys. I draw my conclusions as far as what could possibly happen with these video price predictions, just based off what he's saying and understanding like these may not happen this cycle, but it could eventually happen down the road. So I'm going to try to get as close as what I can for this cycle and just be honest with my thoughts, right? But let's see what he says about the potential of PulseChain busting a 14,000x and why. And he explains.
I don't make forward-looking price statements, but I will tell you what's possible. When I said that Hex was designed to do a 10,000x when it was invented, it was because I just looked at what Ethereum did. Ethereum did a 10,000x, and we have superior game theory. So it was just a reasonable estimate of what was possible. Well, if Ethereum did a 14,000x, which it has so far, why can't something that's better? And so I think a 14,000x is a reasonable estimate for what could be possible for Pulse, because that's what Ethereum did. And this is a very similar thing, but better. So is that a probabilistic statement of what is the likelihood of that happening? No. Is this a timing statement as to when it might occur? Not really. I mean, I can tell you that Ethereum did its 10,000x in about 2.5 years. And it's 14,000x, I guess it took maybe 6 years. So they're not forward-looking price statements, but they are statements as to what is possible. And similar statements seem to have worked out rather presciently for Hex.
Okay, so let's take what he's saying there, right? And before I jump into my thought here, I just want to make sure I shout out everybody in the chat. Like I said, happy Thanksgiving to you, Fiber Finance, and your community. Thank you for being here. Happy Thanksgiving, Alex J. Happy Thanksgiving to you, J Perry 14. Thank you for being here. Kobe, what's up? RH Max, welcome. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Thank you guys for all joining me today in this this thought process that I'm going to walk through with you guys. So he talks about Ethereum hitting. Well, first of all, he mentioned Hex hitting the 10,000x, right? And I remember when I first got into Hex, it was day one, and I was buying into the auction lobby with my Ethereum, and I was doing it for several months. And then Uniswap purchases was like more liquidity was being added, was really new, so slippage was high up into a certain points, a few months in. So I was able to start buying and going into the auction. I remember thinking like, wow, 1 penny. And I would ask people, do you think that's possible? 1 penny? Like, we have so much of this token. Like, if it hits 1 penny, we're like ridiculously rich. And I remember having this conversation with people. We'd go back and forth and just be like, well, like, kick back, bro. Like, maybe like a half a penny. It just didn't seem like a penny could be achievable, right? And we all saw what it did. It eventually went above 50 cents. And Richard was saying it was programmable money. It was programmed and designed because it's better than Bitcoin. And you were getting in early to do a 10,000x. So my brain couldn't wrap my head around it, because at the time when Hex launched, the market caps of even Bitcoin and Ethereum were extremely low compared to what they are today. The numbers we see today was just like a crazy dream to have, and people would be like, nah, man, that's not going to happen. And maybe in 10, 20 years, and you're just like, yeah, maybe you're right. Like, what am I thinking? But it went 50x beyond my wildest dream. A penny. I was like, if it hits a penny, I'm happy. But when it hit a penny, I was locked in majority of my stakes. And then when it went to 20, 30 cents, I was able to get out and start selling. So now we look at PulseChain, and it didn't launch yesterday. It's been well over, it'll be 2 years when it launches in May. Flawless operation, just like Hex, right? So now one's got to think, what are these possibilities from this point? And I'm never going to throw off a 10,000x off the table ever again, because we used to run the math. We'd be like, to get to a penny with the amount of tokens in circulation and existence and staking, like we didn't understand the truth engine on how it truly operated. And when I say that, the way Hex was marketing its chart was the fact that it wasn't dependent on the supply. It was dependent on the transparency of being able to see each other's stakes and when they come out, and being able to chart when tokens will be in circulation at what time and what date, and to micromanage when your stakes to come out. Let's say a whale has 500 billion Hex coming out tomorrow, right? You might want to end your stake the day before so you can get out before a big price dump, things of that magnitude. So a 10,000, let's start with the 10,000X, right? If we look, everything's measured from the bottom. And I went into one of the Hexicans tweets today. I was like, he didn't measure from the bottom, but he did. He was measuring the 14,000X price point. I don't want to jump to 14,000X right now because it might not happen this cycle, right? It just might not. It might be a 14,000X by the next cycle, heading into the next cycle. Or it could happen. I don't know. But let's just be like a reasonable thought, right? And it seemed crazy back when we were talking about Hex and the penny. And this is like the same conversation I'm having with people now. Like history repeats itself. And then you look back and say, Richard Hart told you. So if we were to measure Pulse from the bottom, right, way below SAC prices, 4 zeros and a 3, for example, 4 zeros and a 3, and you multiply that by a 10,000X, that makes Pulse a 33-cent token, right? And you go, whoa, 33 cents. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. It is. It is. But, like, it's crazy to think about it now until it happens. And it just keeps happening in crypto. It just keeps happening. My first opportunity to get in for Bitcoin, I went with the $4,000 investment in silver. I would have had hundreds of millions of dollars if I had, you look at people that are buying between 10 cents to $1. Did they really think that it was going to be $100,000 one day? It just, our brain, probably by design, and very few people can really grasp that idea. And early on, even if I bought Bitcoin, I probably at that early, like $1, I probably would have sold it at $1,000. It would have changed my life drastically at that period in time where I had nothing. So like people don't even get to see that those gains in reality. So 33 cents would be at a 10,000X. And we're at this price, 4 zeros and a 7.2. I like to pull back and go, let me think what's something that I can talk about that people wouldn't think I'm entirely crazy, because maybe it takes several more years to get there, right? So again, measuring from that bottom, 4 zeros, right, and a 3.3. Now, pDAI narrative is out there. That changes the game. If this really does peg, and Richard Hart literally has the first ever decentralized stable token, which he's talked about on camera many times. It's hard for people to even believe that. There's a lot of on-chain evidence and video evidence that something could potentially be going on there. And I'm heavy on the side that something's cooking. We're seeing the excitement. We're seeing the movement. And more believers are onboarded onto pDAI every day, and you're seeing it. So let's do a complete, let's give you a measurement from the bottom, because everything's measured from the bottom. And we'll start at just a 500X, right? At just a 500X. So a 500X from the bottom would be about a 0.0165, right? If you want to do 1,000X, that's 0.033, almost 3.5 cents for 1,000X from the bottom. That sounds crazy too, but I feel more comfortable spinning that out and saying, hey, that could happen. A lot of things can change with the SAC funds coming in, pDAI hitting the dollar. There's a lot of things that could take the 500 to the 1,000X price prediction and really get a bone get tossed, like just a curveball hit you and be like, you didn't see it. You didn't see that what pDAI could do, what it would do to the entire ecosystem, how much it would pump the bags, how much more users would be onboarded, the excitement. So there's a lot of things. I'm being like super conservative, but you're not arguing against me. I'm not arguing against you. We would be arguing against Richard Hart, who has continuously hit spot on prices from the beginning of time, tops and bottoms, subtracting the entry with the SAC funds at $3,700 Ethereum. That is probably one that people will be like, oh, there's a little asterisk on his record, right? But other than that, we've seen tops and bottom calls throughout many cycles. So if he said Hex hit 10,000X and it hit it, and he said it well before it even came about, said it when it launched, said it the whole time, and it happened. Called the 20K Christmas short at 19,000. He made a lot of predictions, and you look at the numbers those blockchains. He's just saying, like, if Ethereum can do it, why can't we with the better product, right? And those are all important factors. Those are really important factors. So do I think that a 14,000X will happen? When he says it, yes. But am I going to say it's going to happen this cycle? I don't think so. But if he thinks so, and I don't know when, because he didn't say a time frame, he just say it could happen. So the possibility is there. The long-term investor is going to win and see those gains if and when it does happen, right? You exit out of the bull market and we go into a bear and you got 1,000X, you're probably happy, right? You're probably really happy. And then you go into the next bull market and Hex ends up 14,000X from the bottom we just looked at, which is 4 zeros and a 3-3. Then you're like, okay, this is where it happens, right? Long-term holding. I like to make my money and keep a little bit of a moon bag for that opportunity. That's what I intend to do. And again, because I'm not going to, if I don't do that, I'm betting against Richard Hart being wrong, where he has like such a good track record, other than just like one incident. Let's go into the chat. What P copy should we be buying besides Wrap, Bitcoin, pDAI, Aave, and what else? Not a financial advisor. So, I don't give financial advice. I've been telling people I've been buying PUSDT. And I did pick up some Link too, but I've been buying PUSDT for months. And the reason why is because several months back, Maria, the Atropa developer, said the best investment would be in PUSDT because it will, if pDAI pegs, PUSDT will trail behind it and get there after, which gives it a better opportunity as far as an investment where it's trailing. So that means you can hop into USD at a cheaper price and follow the same gains all the way to peg. And by doing that, I've made a lot of money, right? But where else have I made a lot of money? Is with the Richard Hart core tokens, right? So if you don't want to do pDAIs, you don't want to do free copies, you just want the core tokens, which if I was going to tell a friend or a family member, right? Which my brother-in-law have and all the P copies and all that, he's made a lot of money. But if I were to tell somebody who asked me for advice in the real world, I'd be like, not a financial advisor, give them all that stuff. I'd say there's no way in my belief that you go wrong just holding the core tokens like Pulse and PulseX. Now, PulseX, to me, in this cycle, has the greater probability of doing massive numbers. Why? Because it's the asset and the Richard Hart core tokens that went down the most below SAC price. It was the cheapest opportunity to buy. We'll talk about that. Let me take a look. We flying. What's going on? What are your thoughts on pDAI movement? And do you think it can actually peg to $1? Or do you think it might be a realistic for 50 cents? We'll get into that. Alex J, I'm balls deep into IOV, Aave, RNDR, Link. We just mentioned Link, STE. I went for the ERC20 that are the big on ETH. That's very smart. I like the way you think. Let's go. Thank you, Vibra, Bonkers, eHacks. We'll cover all of this right now. So the measurement from the bottom, like everything's measured from the bottom, like I mentioned before. You know, people come in and they hear a 10,000x and they got this wild idea that it's going to 10,000x from today's price or sacrifice price. No, it's the bottom, just like they measure Bitcoin from the bottom. So we look at the bottom here. And I remember this day. I remember this month. It was brutal. We went down and we wicked a little bit lower than that. I remember, yeah, about there. So we'll take it at about 5 zeros and an 8-9, right? I remember when that happened. 5 zeros and an 8-9 for Pulse. And it went the lowest below sac price. So I was buying it up, right? EHEX, big opportunity in the same way. It just dropped. Closer and closer to where people first got in at the beginning of time, right? So I saw those as the biggest opportunities, EHEX and PulseX. And if you measure PulseX from the bottom and just do a 500x, right? You're at 2 zeros and a 4-4. 2 zeros and a 4-4, 0.00445. You want to get that to 1,000x from the bottom, 2 zeros and an 8-9. Those are your numbers, right? Everyone will take a look at market cap and this and that, and discredit it. Hey, this is actually a token that's burning itself through the fees on PulseX, the PulseX exchange. So those evaluations, like if someone says 10,000x, 14,000x on PulseX because of the fact that it's, you know, deflationary and tokens are getting burnt out of circulation. You know, we got OA addresses that own a lot. Just like Hex. I don't find it crazy, especially at how low it dropped from the bottom. You know, that those measurements and those, you know, predictions, you know, 500x this cycle, maybe even 1,000. I'm like, I could see that, especially pDAI pegs, right? pDAI is like really what I expect to happen today is PulseX is going to have a run because it did a run, it pulled back. I think PulseX between now and the beginning of December is going to shoot back up to 4 zeros and a 5+. pDAI is going to double up. PUSD will trail and double up its position as well. And look at guys, don't listen to me. Okay, I'm just giving you my thoughts and breaking it down. So that's where I think we're at. Heading all the way into the next holiday, you know, Christmas Eve. We're going to be looking at I think above sacrifice prices. It could be like 2x above. I feel that way. And I think the lead drive, you know, what is leading the way is pDAI. But the Hex, right, and EHEX are going to have massive runs, and PulseXs too. So the entire ecosystem's popping. I don't really know any other way to put it, but like if you're in the core tokens, I feel like I'm going to win no matter what. But then I drop into UFO. Okay. I look at UFO and PTGC. My experience with PTGC is, hey, listen, brother, if you are a PulseChain maxi, I respect you. Great. I started off that way too, but I put a ton of Pulse into PTGC, and now I'm going to get like 5 times the amount I put in back. So if your ultimate goal was to get a bigger bag of Pulse, there was nothing better than PTGC. And then, of course, pDAI. At the end of the day, the free copies. Even Avi's taken off. So UFO being just by design the same as PTGC, right? And big liquidity components across the board, pairings, we're seeing the same thing happen, except it's new. It's working the same mechanics, same alien tech. The ratio has been increasing. You know, the ratio to UFO to Pulse is going up. It's going up. So if you want to see where it was at from the beginning of time, right? If you want to see where it was at from the beginning of time, and we'll put the 6-month chart here. Wow. Look at you. Getting in out of 0.2 to entry, right? 0.2 entry. Now we're at a 0.82. That's a nice leap, bro. That's a nice leap right there. I can dig it. I like that. I like that. And it wasn't like a pump and dump. It just worked its magic, and the technology that is behind it, the mechanics did its job, just like PTGC did. So ultimately, they're leveraging the ecosystem, right? And they're earning, users are earning reflections that compound drastically over time. And I can't deny it's been a beautiful move. I mean, who can deny it? Go look at the chart, go look at the numbers. You may not like altcoins. You may just be a hardcore maxi and be like Pulse, PulseX, Hex, eHex, Inc., right? Cool. Well, I didn't have to have that mindset to get more of the bags you love the most, that I love the most too. I'm with you there. So it's interesting. And we got these moon math calculators. We'll take a look there. Let me take a look at the chat really quick. I think we might have a question. Too late for pDAI. If you think it's going to peg, it's 50x into $1. So answer that question. Do you think it's going to peg? If you're 50-50, you know, if you're 100% certain, you're taking a risk, right? That's the risk. It's a big if. Let's see. All about passive income. pDAI is only 0.24. It's going to $1. You still have 50x to go in it. I would buy it. He said it, not me. I don't give financial advice. He said it. So don't, hey, if you want to listen to people in the chat, but I agree with his vision. I share the same vision. I'll say that. Even if it only goes to 10 cents, you still can 5x. 5x or something is better than your money not working for you. Yeah. Yeah. You know, a lot of people are in crypto to just sit it and forget it. A lot of people are in it to risk it for the biscuit, to make crazy more above what you would make just holding core assets. We're all in different investment classes of styles. So my disclaimer to you is I do the risky business, and I leave the holding to like my mother-in-law and father-in-law. I got them into Pulse and PulseX, and they sit there like it's a 401k and don't even think about it. And I just let them know, like, when the bull market comes to where I believe is the peak, we're going to get out. They're like, okay, right? That's like the normal investor, especially for their age group, who doesn't want to be getting into high risk. They just want to invest and, make as much as they can, but they'll round trip it and won't care. They will see a 14,000x if I say just keep it long term. They're like, all right, because they're used to that. I'm a lot younger than them, so my risk tolerance, and if I get wrecked in the time I have between now and the age of where they're at, 65 plus, that big gap of time I have to make up the difference for risking it for the biscuit, if I fail, we're in different territories there. So that's why, I do the things I do. And even no matter what age, is just a number, man. Even if you're young, maybe you just don't want to risk it. You just want to make money the safest way possible. So if you're looking for that, the safest way possible might not even be leaving Bitcoin and Ethereum, to be honest. But the further you get away from those assets, the more risk, but the higher reward. All right. And that's just crypto for you, because you never know. Now, let's see, UFO moon math. I want to take a look at the UFO moon math here, and I want to look at the UFO numbers if pDAI hits $1 with an X factor of 5. So when you hit calculate, right, tells you the current market price of UFO is 4 zeros and a 6-1. Price to DAI is 2 cents. The ratio here as well, 0.0025 ratio price UFO DAI. And then it has your moon math, which is the base UFO price that you see here. Final UFO price of a 205.02x potential. Disclaimers here, these are just moon math numbers. If pDAI hit $1, UFO outperforms DAI by a 5x. That's where you can change this X factor. So if you want to say that UFO, because it's leveraging the entire ecosystem, is an X factor of outperforming the asset you choose here by a 2X, you can just go and re-enter that. And a 2X, you'd be like, oh, that's pretty conservative versus a 5X, cut it in half. Your 82X end result if pDAI hits $1. And you could do these same numbers with PTGC, UFO, and change the pairs, UFO to Pulse. If you guys want the Moon Math calculator and don't have it, I'm going to put it in the chat here. I think it's a good tool to use. And there's even like subscriptions to it for Crypto Kong. He's done a whole thing of it just will step up your game if you're deep into the PTGC ecosystem and you're like, I need the stats, and I want the information. So you can find that somewhere on the website. It's there. It won't be hard to find. But that's the Moon Math, which is crazy because it would not only have like these X multipliers, because UFO and PTGC is like X multipliers, right? You would get the X multiplier for DAI plus it, like everything else in the system. So it could be much more. That is hard for anybody, in my opinion, to grasp, right? To think like, what? Like it's leveraging the entire ecosystem and this and that. And well, it's PTGC was a simulation of what happens in these case scenarios when Pulse was up and down, how it performed. Go study that. I recommend it. So back to the charts. And YPUSDT was probably one of my best moves. And I was telling everybody in R2R for months now in my private group, I'm getting USDT. Maria said, not me, Maria, the Atropa developer. And hey, man, he, she, him, them. I don't remember what Maria likes to be called. I don't get into that, but the Atropa developer said pDAI, and I think they retract the statement that pDAI would peg in December, USDT would follow behind, the investment to get into while it's trailing as far as to earn profits on the way up to peg would be buying this bad boy. That's all was said. That's all I needed. That's all. And I saw that video several months ago. So if you want to break down, back where I started buying a long time ago, I'll get some crazy cheap prices. I'll tell you that. Crazy cheap prices. And hey, it's paying off. It was high risk, high reward. So when do you get off the train? I don't know. I don't know. At $1, do you see it through? It's crypto, man. It's crypto. Like we're one tweet away from Richard giving another clue. I think there's been clues about these copies. I've showed you. If I could show you a video right now, right? I'll show you a video right now of Richard Hart talking about this, and we watched it in a recent video, but talking about the tricks he has up his sleeves when it comes to stable tokens. So let me play this for you, and we're going to, you can dissect it on your own
Because it
time.
does things that have never been. An interesting question.
Make sure I got the volume good here. There we go.
It's an interesting question for you. This will be fun. This will be really fun. PulseChain is fucking interesting because it does things that have never been done before. I think this will blow your mind. People think that Tether is worth $1 because it often trades for $1 on exchanges. But we know that for a while, Tether was fractionally reserved because they had about $600 million seized from a bank.
Right.
And who knows what the real fractional reserve is? Nobody fucking knows.
Yeah.
So, but it still traded near $1. And then that makes you wonder, what if it was 100% fractional reserved? Would it still trade for $1? At what point might, I don't know. So when PulseChain forks Tether, which has admin keys, they could just invalidate all the coins. But their users would probably sue them for doing that because I think that those Tether, even though they're not going to be redeemable for anything, I think they're going to have a value on PulseChain. I just have no idea what it is. So
Right.
it's going to be so crazy to see whether stablecoins that have no backing at all actually have a value and what that value is on this new chain.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's
going to be an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
It will be. And this was the bit that kind of got me, was when somebody was saying that, hey, they're going to, they're going to duplicate the entire state of Ethereum, duplicate all of the ERC20 tokens, and suddenly
Almost
you're
all
going
of
to
them,
have double. And I was like, well, wait a minute, you're not really going to have double. You're going to have, if you've got 1,000
we'll have different parameters,
tether
right?
ERC20, and you've now got 1,000 PRC20 tether, those PRC20 tether are going to have an entirely different value to the ERC21 for the reason you just described.
For sure.
In that
Yeah,
it's
100%.
a totally different price discovery. And because the PRC20 tokens are not used anywhere else, they're going to be worthless. And then,
I don't think so.
That's going to be the problem.
I don't like, I got a few tricks up my sleeve. I got some more cool shit coming. I'll tell you about.
Oh, you may well do. Everybody does.
So you heard it from him, man. He's got some tricks up his sleeve. He's got some more cool stuff coming. And you can just tell with the big smile he gets on his face, like, bro, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. And I don't think having tricks up your sleeves means getting these free copies to anything other than parity to $1, right? Peg to $1. I don't think he'd say that with the biggest smile face if it was going to be like 10 cents, 20 cents. That's just how I dissect that video and what he's saying. I don't see, I mean, you wouldn't be arguing with me. You're arguing with the thought of this founder who thinks he could pull something off. He's obviously been hinting that. And there's just so much content and a lot of things that are happening on chain. And who else has the audacity, the cojones to attempt this? RH, the ultimate glory, the ultimate bragging rights lays within doing stuff and accomplishing it. Because, yeah, it's the first time it had ever been done, if that's what he's doing, right? I'm not saying it's going to happen or not. But that's, like I say, you're not arguing with me, man. You're arguing with somebody who's already been out there saying, like, he's got some cool stuff, tricks up his sleeve. Like, that's all you need to hear. The intentions was laid out and it was there. We just have to see what happens. Whether it does or not, there's a lot of speculation and excitement behind it. Right? I remember you were talking about pairing pDAI and PUSDC. I tested that like APR, then pDAI shot up crazy, mad gains. Yeah, I talked about pairing up pDAI with PUSDT. And yeah, you're right. You should have done very well. When I talked about that, I was giving you guys the money glitch that should have done what I envisioned of what was going to happen, pairing up pDAI with PUSDT and earning, the fees and providing liquidity between the two and pairing them up. I did very well. I know a lot of people have come and told me, like, dude, like that was really like a good call. So I appreciate you recognizing that. I'm getting a lot of people that are coming because I think when I talked about doing that, some people were like in permanent loss and this and that. And I was just like, you got to understand what it means, to these assets when even pDAI takes off and you get more PUSDT in return, and then PUSDT starts to take off. Like, you're making a lot by shifting the money you made on the rise of pDAI into PUSDT at a cheaper price, and then it starts to perform and catch up. It's a printer. It was cool. So I don't know. Is TinyX dead? I don't think so. No, I don't know, man. We don't talk about Bruno. No. That's all I got to say about that. Wish him the best of luck. But keeping it PulseChain, I'm a believer. Why not? I mean, I always have been. I've always talked about it, and I'm just not gonna stamp it, on streams and be like, it is going to $1. Like, I want to get on an interview, these dudes that are on Twitter that have been the head of these the information and dropping all these gems that have been telling us for a while that this is happening and the vaults are collateralizing right now. And he's going to use crypto to peg these, free copies. I want to get them on stream and pick their brain. I want to know what's going on right here. We've looked at this before. We've stared at this before. Let's refresh it. I said we're going to start seeing these numbers grow by hundreds of dollars. And sure enough, these transactions on the Curve protocol, right, with the PRC20 stable tokens, when I first started talking about it, we're doing these transactions and they're like $6, $7, $8, $10, $15. I'm like, I think it's going to start growing the way I see it like a snow piling up, right? Like a snowball effect. And sure enough, I was right about that. But I don't know why and why it's doing this. Maybe somebody will come up here and we've looked at this before. And now, just like I imagined, it went from $10, $20 transactions. You'll see here 407 for $426, right? I was like, it's going to start going to 20, 30, 40, 50, then hundreds of dollars. And then when you see it go to thousands of dollars, I think that's where we're going to get closer. That was my only hunch on like what's going on there. I don't know entirely. One can only speculate. Now let's get to one of my all-time favorites. Why I'm even here today in the position I am in life and crypto, and why I love crypto is Hex. You know, this is where it all started for me. Getting in December 2019, staking long-term for several years out. The vast majority of my stakes came out, a year later, and I was able to make life-changing gains and experience the 10,000x plus, everything on top of staking. Big payday was a nice, chunk that it sent into my staking rewards. And I was like, whoa, this is like crazy. What's going on here? Like, this guy was right. All right. But this is Hex on PulseChain. Okay. eHex, you remember the tweet, the market has chosen eHex. Well, I just tweeted the other day the market's going to choose parity. It's 10x away. It ain't going to take a lot to 10x this bag, right? To reach parity with pHex. It really isn't. It really isn't. But there's a lot of things I think that will factor in. The OGs of Richard Hart, the believers, the original people who believed in Richard Hart, were in eHex and still have eHex stakes coming out for years to come. I'm one of them. Good thing I got copies on PulseChain that have, nice value, and I think they'll continue to go up. But I think the ultimate achievement would be getting that sucker back and doing well, right? I think that is part of the glory. I think that's part of the bigger picture. So I really hope. And he talks about this early on. We'll take a look at that real quick here. Talked about it. You're not arguing with me, you'd be arguing with him if you think, it's not going to be paired.
$0.5 million worth of USDC.
Hey man, he's talked about this for a reason. So if it's part of the grand scheme of things, if he really is trying to pick pDAI, that's amazing. But you think he's going to forget about his first baby, his firstborn child, Hex on Ethereum, and all the users that are here today because they were onboarded, including myself? You think it's going to be left behind? I don't think no man left behind in the ecosystem. All right. Let's hear what he has to say, though, because I think it's going to be important for you to realize why I started buying the heck out of eHex at its bottom. So we'll look at the chart in a minute.
And then listen to this. You're going to love this. Right now, I think in liquidity on Uniswap V2 on the bid side, there's 8.5 million USDC, $8.5 million worth of USDC. So what if you bridged over USDC from the Ethereum network to Pulse and then put that in a new pair with the Hex on Pulse, which we're just going to call Hex. So some of the documentation needs to be upgraded because it was going to be eHex and pHex, but we're just going to make it Hex and eHex. So ERC20s that are forked onto Pulse, or they're going to just be called their native name. So Chainlink on Ethereum, which is Link, is going to be bridged over and called eLink for Link from Ethereum. And then on Pulse, it's just going to be called Link. So need to update the naming conventions document a little bit. Not that big a change. So if you bridged in EUSDC from the Ethereum network and then put it in a liquidity pool with $8.5 million of USDC versus the equivalent $8.5 million of Pulse, or rather Hex on the Pulse network, then you'd in effect have nearly doubled the liquidity. So this isn't accounting for what's sitting in limit orders on 0x and 1inch.io. It's not accounting for Uniswap v3, which actually has a lot of liquidity now. I'll look it up in a minute. But you could for like $10 or $20 million double the liquidity for Hex on the Pulse network. And I think that'd be pretty cool, because now maybe instead of Hex being worth 20 cents on just Ethereum, maybe Hex could be worth 20 cents on Ethereum and Pulse. That would be awesome. And then you step in and you put a liquidity providing incentivization program where you reward people for putting in a Uniswap pair their ERC20s from the bridged in from the Ethereum network and the Pulse versions of them. And then the Pulse versions are backed by the Ethereum versions. And people are probably happier to do that because they got the Pulse side for free. So you got a big bag of Link.
Okay, that's key, guys. That's key. And we already seen this take place. If you were here at the beginning, right? He retired those farms. And you'll see here, if you go to the PulseChain website and go to the farms, you'll see that the ones that are alive, but the ones that are finished, we've already seen him do this for emissions, what he's talking about there. But it was too early on in the development stages as far as where we're even at. I believe he wanted things to bottom for himself and maybe others to be able to buy these bottoms and bring it back at some point. We had Hex bridged over from Ethereum paired up with PulseChain Hex, right? We had Bitcoin and the free copy of Bitcoin in a V1 pool, right? We even had Pepe from Ethereum and Pepe the meme coin, the meme coin from Ethereum and a PulseChain copy. We had Link and we had Uniswap. I think Uniswap, to answer somebody's question earlier, based off the pools we see here, might be the important ones that the core ones. I was like, I got to get these. P copies of Uni, P copies of Link, P copies of Pepe, wrap Bitcoin, right? Ethereum Hex, free copy Hex, P Hex, all that stuff. And if we go to the chart here for eHex, now it gets a little bit interesting because you want to look at the bottom, right? Recent bottoms for this asset. And you just got to think to yourself, like, all right, these are crazy low numbers. This is a really, really like 0, 2s, and a 1. So let's do the measurement, right? 0, 2 zeros, and a 1. We'll give it 2 zeros and a 1, 3, right? What price, right? At like, let's say a 250x. You paid the slippage, you bought at 2 zeros and a 1, 5. What's a 200x? We'll just call it a 200x, right? 30 cents. 30 cents. And if they were to reach parity, it would be interesting. They reach parity sometime soon in the near future, and they both hit 30 cents together. That's a 200x on your eHex, and it could go more. These are just numbers I'm running on a 200x from the bottom, right? And then for the Hex on PulseChain, that's roughly just above a 10x to get there. But eHex has the opportunity to do that easily when it gets paired, and they move from, let's say they get paired today at roughly 2.5 cents. Now they're both just at a 10x where they move together because they're bonded and they're paired. They've reached parity to hit the 200x on your eHex investment, to hit the 10x plus on your PulseChain investment. So you're making multiple X's. And they're paired together. And if they continue to move 50 cents to $1, because we see these big narratives like pDAI, what it could bring to the table, if and when all that happens, the sky's the limit. It really is. Let's see. How active is Telegram? How can I join? Very active. Every day. I'm in there every day. All my users are in there. We talk crypto. I haven't allowed anybody to come in a while. I stopped doing that. You know, it's been a private group and not charging anything like that. But I will soon. I mean, hit me up. Go look in the description. Follow me on X. There's a link tree. If your name adds up to the one I see here on screen, and you follow the link tree to my Telegram, and I get the approval and I see, I'll add you. All right. Will you do another Titan X video used to look forward to your daily vids on it? No. It's time to move on, bro. It's just it's that time to move on. Things happen. And I just got your homie just requested. All right, cool, man. You're in. Just accepted it. So yeah, it's not a group. I'm inviting more people. We're very active. Welcome to the group. I just posted in there too to welcome you. Hey man, if you're in that group, you got the Nero CTO call in August when it was an $800,000 market cap. Nero CTO went to 1.1 billion. But I don't make calls. I talk about things. Right? It's not like a call group. We trade information. We trade ideas. And you take whatever you get from your networks that you're in, guys, and you do your research. The more people you know that are like-minded, the more people you know that are deep into DeFi, the more people you know that have experience above you will elevate your game. So I recommend. It may not be my group. It may be somebody else's. There's always somebody that knows more than you. More heads is better than one. And then you can start to really just clean up your portfolios and make more money when you meet people that you learn to trust by experiencing what they bring to the table, and you bring them something to the table, everyone starts to bring nuggets. So that's what goes on in R2R. All right. A lot of speculation. Anyways, parity is important to the entire ecosystem. You know, set aside pDAI. That would be great. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. It would do a lot of amazing things. But I think the most important thing is getting EHEX to parity with pHEX. And he's talked about it. Don't argue with me. You would argue with Richard Hart. We just played on camera what his thoughts were. And he talked about that probably because he believes it could happen. So we'll see. We'll see. We're almost to the 1 hour mark. All right, guys. Don't forget to smash the like buttons. Drop a comment. Like and follow this. Like everything on Twitter. Videos there. Retweet it. Hashtags all your PulseChain hashtags. Follow me on X. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. We'll see you tomorrow on Black Friday. Till next time, we shall do it again. Yeah, dog.
Lady LaFontaine, let's get it. It's hard to walk. It's hard to walk. Back to riches. Back to riches. It's hard to walk. It's hard to walk. Back to riches. Back to riches. It's hard to walk. It's hard to walk. Back to riches. Back to riches. It's hard to walk. It's hard to walk. Back to riches. Back to riches. Got my call from the R2R. Farmers going up, Brody, check the chart. In the loot, buying all these plots. Thomas G and Mike got the chat on lock. Wanna drip and push. Got these dogs and pigs, farm me, I'm ready to score. Got me a bag of the rich and hard, I think I need more. Group got me in a wave, now I'm swimming the shore. I'm up to the core. It's hard to walk, it's hard to walk. Back to riches, back to riches. It's hard to walk, it's hard to walk. Back to riches, back to riches. It's hard to walk, it's hard to walk. Back to riches, back to riches. It's hard to walk, it's hard to walk. Here's right to riches. Here's right to riches.